Alright, Shalom. First, foremost, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere believers, which includes the scattered Israelites who are amongst these other nations, these heathen nations, and look like these heathens. Now this lesson is going to be a relatively quick one, just based on this Easter earthquake that rattled San Bernardino County. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this article, get some precepts, and Lord's will, you are edified. It says a 3.1 magnitude earthquake struck 16 miles northwest of Ludlow in San Bernardino County shortly before 9 p.m. Sunday. The earthquake happened at a depth of less than 0.2 miles beneath the Earth's surface, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The quake follows a 3.3 magnitude earthquake that hit Riverside County Saturday afternoon. Yeah, and it seems like there's been, more earthquake activity happening out there in around California. Isaiah 29:6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. And California, because it sits on a fault line, is known for experiencing a lot of earthquakes. A lot of them are of smaller magnitudes, like magnitude 3, 4 or 5, up to like magnitude 5 and less. But usually, like smaller ones, like magnitude 3, are the ones that you typically see take place. Every once in a while, you'll get something bigger, but for the most part, it's usually in the magnitude 3 range. But nonetheless, the fact that these earthquakes are happening are because that's what the Lord wants. The Lord is visiting them with earthquakes. And for people who will say that it's just because, California sits on a fault line, it's like, yes, but who put it there? Who put California on that fault line? The Lord did. And the Lord decides when an earthquake is going to happen. For all the people that want to sit there and talk a bunch of Mother Nature nonsense. Like, no, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, gets the credit for these earthquakes, not Mother Nature. That's yet another reason why the Lord is angry with the wicked every day, because these wicked people are constantly giving the Lord's credit to someone else. Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. And that's what we see. We see earthquakes happening in diverse places. And I have the definition or the meaning of diverse here, and jump down all the way to biblical/literal context. It says great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, meaning various or different locations. And we see that. We see earthquakes happening, in different parts of California, in different parts of America, in different parts of the world. That right there is various and different locations, which once again proves the validity of the scriptures. For all the simple-minded people that want to sit here and say, oh, the Bible is just a make-believe book, it's a fairy tale, it was written by a white man, and all of this nonsense that these people spew. Like, no. This book was inspired by what the Lord wanted. the Heavenly Father put the Spirit on the men who wrote the Bible. Each chapter of the Bible. The Lord put the Spirit on those men. This is not the white man's book. See, people attach the Bible to Christianity. Esau doesn't know the scriptures like that. The Lord is not dealing with Esau. Esau is not spiritual. Esau is carnal. That's why people are so screwed up when it comes to the scriptures, because the way that Esau has, quote unquote, taught the Bible. See, if people would have listened to the men of the Lord break it down from Jump Street, people would have a different outlook on the scriptures. Obviously, if the Lord, put the Spirit on them to understand. Because obviously, if the Lord does not bless you with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the scriptures, you're not gonna get it. You could read the Bible cover to cover, and you're not gonna understand it. The Lord has to give you that understanding. And that's another reason why these people don't get it. People will talk about how they've been in the church for 20 years, and then they just left the church because, they stopped believing. Like, you really didn't believe in the first place, because the scriptures tell us that the Lord does not dwell in temples made with hands. And I know I kind of went off on a little tangent there, Salakia. But the point that I'm making is that the Lord is the one who's in control of these things. The fires, the storms, the tempests, the earthquakes. This has nothing to do with Mother Nature. But because these people are so carnal and so simple-minded, they'll constantly talk about how, everything that happens, like in this type of context, was done by Mother Nature. They'll be like, oh, Mother Nature must be pissed off. It's like, no, the Lord is pissed off. The Heavenly Father, Yahweh, is pissed off. Second Ezra 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before. Verse 2, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, not Mother Nature made. He, the Heavenly Father, made through his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, and the elect. Verse 3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, and there's plenty of both. There's plenty of earthquakes happening throughout the world, and there's plenty of uproars of the people in the form of protests, and on the more extreme end, riots. Verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Verse 6, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder, and powerful works, and endings in effects and signs. And these earthquakes are powerful works of the Lord, and these are signs of the Lord visiting this world which he made. And in these last days that we're living in, the Lord is going to turn things up. These earthquakes are going to not only happen a lot more frequently, but they're going to be of a lot stronger and destructive magnitude. Same with the fires, same with the storms and tempests. Same with the uproars of the people and the violence. Everything that we're already seeing, the Lord is going to crank it up. And it's going to get so bad to the point where people are going to be forced to acknowledge that this has to be the work of the Lord. I believe it's either a tornado or a hurricane that when they reach a certain category, they call that the hand of God. See, even to an extent, Esau knows that there's a limit, although there is really no limit, because whether it's a smaller earthquake or a smaller fire or a smaller storm and tempest, it's still the work of the Lord. But even on a small level, Esau, he knows, he's like, once it hits a certain point, there is no denying, who that destruction is coming from. And more people are going to be forced to acknowledge the Lord. They're going to be forced to acknowledge the Heavenly Father, His only begotten Son, and the men of the Lord down here on earth. All the people that they've disregarded, scoffed and scorned at, disrespected. The Lord is going to force these carnal, wicked people to acknowledge those same ones that they've disrespected. Right before He destroys these wicked people. So, for all you sincere brothers and sisters out there, just, continue to stay circumspect. This is why we can't get comfortable here, because the Lord is about to destroy this place. And before He fully destroys this place, He's going to send a lot of signs through His judgments. And we're just steady watching things get worse and worse. So we are to further and further detach ourselves from this place, so that as more destruction and chaos and death manifests, we're not getting all emotional about it because we're not attached to it. We've already accepted the fact that a lot of people, even those we care about, are going to die. There's going to be a lot of destruction. The childhood school that you went to, your childhood home, all of these things that you may, have a certain emotional attachment to, it's going to cease to exist if it hasn't already. So those of us of the hopeful elect, being in this truth, we have to mentally, emotionally, and spiritually prepare for all the chaos and the destruction and the death that we know is coming. Because now is definitely not the time to be getting all emotional and dropping out of this truth, because you can't handle it. The scriptures say that if you put your hand to the plow and turn back, then you are not fit for the kingdom. The last thing you want to do is go back into the world right as the Lord's about to destroy this place, because then your ass is grass right along with the rest of them. But with that, I'm gonna wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, the water Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are still fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere Aqua and all the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. I hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up, and Adawan Ratazah. Until next time, Shalom.